You're not blind, but you've been trained to see like you are. From the moment you wake up, your senses are hijacked by screens, by noise, by notifications, by a world that profits off your blindness. You scroll, but don't observe. You hear, but don't listen. You look, but don't see. Meanwhile, the people who rule the world, they see everything. They see opportunity where you see routine. They notice patterns where others see chaos. They spot leverage in silence, momentum in stillness. Want to be powerful in this world? Learn to notice what no one else sees. You've heard people say, knowledge is power. That's a lie. Noticing is power, because what you notice, you begin to control. And what you ignore controls you. Start with this. When you walk into a room, what do you see first? The people? The exits? The energy? Sherlock Holmes walked into a room and saw 50 things in the first 5 seconds. Not because he had superpowers, but because he trained himself to notice what others missed. He called it the brain attic. Imagine your mind is a room. Most people leave it cluttered with junk. But the sharpest minds organize it, filter it, choose what stays in their awareness. And that's what makes the difference. Edison saw light in darkness. Da Vinci saw machines in the wings of birds. Jobs saw poetry in plastic and glass. They weren't magicians, they were noticers. Every genius is. They see what others miss. And the secret? You can train that. But first you need to understand what's stealing it. You've been conditioned to look for entertainment, not enlightenment. To scroll past your boredom instead of diving into it. To chase dopamine, not depth. You've been taught to respond, not to recognize. Your attention is not just scattered. It's being sold. Every app is designed to dull your edge, to flood your brain with noise so you forget how to detect the signal. But you weren't born for that. You were born to see like a hawk, to listen like a hunter, to feel like a poet, and process like a strategist. And when you learn to notice, really notice, the world begins to open. Let me prove it. Take 10 seconds, look around the room you're in right now. Find everything that's blue. Go. Done? Now, without looking, tell me, how many things were red? Exactly. You didn't notice, because your brain filtered it out. This is not a trick. It's how the mind works. It doesn't see reality. It sees what you tell it to see. Your brain is not a camera. It's a spotlight. And your focus is the director. You show it what to care about. Want to build wealth? Start noticing where money moves. Want to build mastery? Start noticing your patterns. Want to build legacy? Start noticing your moments. Most people aren't unlucky. They're just unaware. They walk past opportunity because it didn't wear a name tag. They ignore warning signs because the failure didn't scream. They miss greatness because it came dressed as a hard day. The people you admire, they notice the clues you overlook. Arnold Schwarzenegger didn't just lift weights. He noticed how his body responded. He watched angles, pain responses, micro-muscle feedback. Kobe Bryant didn't just play basketball. He studied every movement on the court, noticed opponent tendencies, spacing, energy shifts. It's not talent, it's awareness. And awareness comes from discipline. You think discipline is about sacrifice? No, discipline is the doorway to superhuman perception. When you're disciplined, you slow down. You look again. You listen deeper. You study patterns, not just outcomes. It's not about doing more. It's about noticing better. And that one habit of pausing, of observing, of tracking small cues, that's what makes a mind dangerous. Let me ask you something. When you failed, did you stop to dissect it? Not just emotionally, analytically? Did you notice what time of day it happened? Who you were around? What thought came before it? Or did you just blame the moment and move on? When you were rejected, did you notice your tone of voice? Your timing? Your hesitation? When you had your last breakthrough, did you notice what led to it? Or did you just celebrate and forget? Every moment you live is packed with data, but only those who slow down catch it. And in that data is your next level. This is why journaling works, why meditation sharpens minds, why legends track everything, because they know if you don't notice it, you can't improve it. Tesla noticed the hum of frequencies no one else heard. He said he could feel electricity in the air. That's how deep his awareness was. You want to change your life? Then study it. Stop living reactively. Start noticing like a scientist, like an artist, like a hunter. Because when you do, time slows down. The noise fades and clarity arrives. Suddenly you'll hear things in conversations that others miss. You'll see opportunities forming days before they arrive. You'll sense when someone's energy shifts before their words betray it. You'll notice the patterns in markets, the cycles in moods, the rhythm in decisions. It's not intuition, it's not magic. It's trained awareness, but most people never get there because they're too distracted. So here's the truth. If you want to notice the world like never before, you must become undistracted. Not just from your phone, from your patterns, from your need to constantly be stimulated, from your addiction to reacting, from your urge to escape discomfort, because real awareness comes from stillness, from silence, from presence. And presence is a practice. If you're always chasing, always scrolling, always numbing, you can't see. And if you can't see, you can't build. So if you want to sharpen your awareness, start by embracing discomfort, because discomfort is data. And data builds vision. Watch what happens when you're under pressure. Notice your thoughts, your posture, your breathing. That's your code, your unique signal. Most people avoid stress, but the elite, they study it. They lean into it and say, show me something I couldn't see before. Every challenge is a mirror. It reflects who you are and exposes who you could become, but only if you notice the message buried inside the mess. Pain is feedback. Failure is feedback. Rejection is clarity wearing a disguise. You want to grow fast? Stop asking how to avoid failure and start asking what it's trying to teach you. Don't just suffer. Study the suffering. When Thomas Edison was laughed out of every lab, he didn't just brush it off. He noticed exactly what didn't work. He cataloged over 10,000 failures with precision because each one gave him a lens. Noticing gives you leverage, and leverage moves mountains. The people you think are lucky, they just saw something before the world did and acted while others hesitated. Because noticing is only the beginning. You see it, you feel it, and then you move. Awareness without action is daydreaming. But awareness combined with decision, that's force. Look at Elon Musk. He noticed bottlenecks in physics and transportation, in information. And then he built engines, tunnels, rockets, platforms, because he understood. If you notice a problem, you now own it. And that's the difference between spectators and leaders. Spectators complain. Leaders notice, decide, and design. And if you want to design something different, your career, your mind, your future, you must become a craftsman of attention. Start with your mornings. How do you wake up? Are you reacting to a screen or responding to your spirit? In those first 10 minutes, you're setting your focus. You're deciding what matters. And your brain follows orders whether you give them or not. The most dangerous man in the room is the one who is aware of his triggers. The most powerful woman in the meeting is the one who sees 5 steps ahead. Not because she's gifted, because she trained herself to observe the invisible. Want to know who's going to succeed in any room? Watch who notices the details. The room temperature, the pacing, the tension, the power dynamics, the offhand comment that revealed the truth. These are not soft skills. This is how empires are built. by people who listen louder than others speak, by people who see what's not being said. Now, there's a deeper level, beyond success, beyond achievement. It's meaning, because when you sharpen your ability to notice, you don't just see problems, you see beauty. You see the way light hits a building and turns it into a cathedral. You hear a child laugh and recognize the sound of hope. You read one sentence in a book, and it reshapes a decade of belief. You start to realize the extraordinary was always here. You just weren't looking. Gratitude becomes your weapon. Not the soft, fluffy kind, but the kind that arms you in chaos. Because when you've trained your mind to notice, you can find fuel in anything. You see a setback and think, good, more pressure, more data. You hear criticism and think, perfect, a mirror I didn't know I needed. You face the unknown and say, finally, a puzzle. And that mindset, that is the most valuable real estate on earth. A mind that knows how to notice and refuses to waste what it sees. Most people drift through life, but those who dominate it, they walk through the same world and see something entirely different. A janitor sees a mop. Steve Jobs saw it and thought, what if a computer felt as natural as sweeping? A student sees a chalkboard. Einstein stared at one and wrote an equation that bent time. A failure sees embarrassment. A warrior sees a pattern interrupt a glitch in the matrix, an opening. So I'll ask you now, what are you not seeing? What's right in front of you that could change your life if you only noticed it differently? You have the same 24 hours as the greats. The same sky, the same alphabet, the same silence. But what you do with it, that depends entirely on what you train your mind to see. And that's the message. Not motivation, not inspiration. Awakening. Wake up to your patterns, to your distractions, to your possibilities. Notice your fears. Notice your excuses. Notice your brilliance, not the one they told you to chase, but the one you've buried under doubt and speed and noise. You have everything you need. Not later, now. But you must learn to see it. The masters of this world, the strategists, the artists, the philosophers, the builders, they aren't smarter than you. They're just more awake. And awakening is a decision, right now. Not when it's convenient. Not when someone gives you permission, but now. So stop scrolling, stop reacting, and start noticing. Your mind is the most advanced tool on the planet, but it's not about what it knows, it's about what it sees. And when you train yourself to notice the world like never before, the world will start noticing you.